Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good whatever time of day it is for you. Good day. Welcome to the Tuesday streams, and I know I haven't been streaming very much on Tuesdays, but I'm excited about today. And I know I'm going to butcher your name, I'm sorry. Mistro. So you're watching, awesome. For those of you who don't know, Mistro, he's the modder who took over my Sisters of Battle mod on Gladius. I don't know, like, what was it, like 1-2 years ago? It was a long while ago. But, and he's done some great work with the models. I am super impressed with what he did with the models. And it actually got me really fired up to continue working on this mod because I really want this faction mod. It's like I want it so bad. So now we're working together. And hopefully we can hammer this out much quicker together. And I'm going to show you what we got so far. So let me just go ahead and jump over the scenes. Alright. I can already see. I always get excited when I see this. Alright, let's start it up. I don't have the intro video. Like, I actually worked on the Sisters of Battle intro a few years ago. And I even had audio for it. I was looking for a different voice actress, but I kind of subbed in for the time. I lost the video. So I got to make the video all over again. And we're already starting off in debug mode. But this is what I desperately wanted so many years ago. These models look great. Now, I'll admit I had a lot of trouble getting the right, what you call it, diffuse, the materials, the textures. I got it jumbled up, and it took me a few days to get it right. For a while, there was this like floating golden shoulder pads, and then there was like bright yellow gold shining before I got them like this. So they're looking great. And we get the Minestrone Priest. They're our basic builder unit. So we're just going to go ahead and build the base. We're going to do it on top of this Nectaron spot. Right now it is placeholder using Space Marine stuff. I figured it kind of makes more sense with the way the systems are. Like I would like I wish it was more like a church-y kind of building. But we're going to use a lot of the debug stuff just to make this go quicker. Let's start off with the units. The Battle Sisters, we do have the Shield of Faith, what is it called in this game? Trait, working on them, so they get their invulnerability save. Stats are right. I got them with 6 units, as opposed to 5 that you see with the Space Marines. Because even though this does increase their firepower a lot, they're still squishier. Like, they still have less health than the Space Marines. So it is easy to take them down. Now let's go on with the next unit. Let's see, we're just going to go in order from what we have on the list here. The Arch Confessor, one of our heroes. There is no model for this one yet. I'm currently using a... I forget what this unit is. I think he's a librarian. Yeah, he's a librarian, a Space Marine librarian. So we have him with his Redeemer shotgun. He has a chainsaw. Get him with his Shield of Faith. Like, the traits are right. Got him Zealot, Hero. And his special abilities are, and if you played the tabletop, you would recognize these as, oh, and I'm sure just so you know, I'm talking to just everybody, this not specifically you. I know you know your stuff. So we got the Emperor's Strength. This is actually part of the war hymns that the priests get, but I'm giving it specifically to the Arch Confessor. Emperor's Strength, this essentially gives him Smash. Emperor Protects, area effect, defense boost for 1 round. Righteousness of the Emperor, offensive boost all around him for allies. And then eventually his elite is called the Banner of Sanctity. This is one of the special relics the sisters will get, and I gave it to this guy. Essentially it's very similar to what the Dogma, or Dogma de Sartes, or something that the chaplain gets with the Space Marines, but it is a little bit different with the way it works. Like, it does buff up allies and gives a general city boost. So let's move on to the next unit, Arco-Flagellant. This is something that Amitsu has also created. There's the models. They look spot on. They have their Arco Flails. 4 attacks at damage 2, which is equivalent to strength 5 on the tabletop. Promise, I still got... I don't know why the icon is still showing up as a question mark. I got them with an icon. It just doesn't want to show up. That's something I'm going to need to fix up. Their only defense they got is if you feel no pain. They get no armor. And currently I have them only 4 units. Initially I had them with a lot more because I figured they're super squishy. Really easy to kill. But whenever I got into melee with anything, when I was testing this against other models, they'll just delete whatever they got into a fight with. When I had them with like 6. And then I'll load them 4, and like there's 5 and then 4. And even a 4, they essentially have 12 attacks at strength 2. I mean, they're still super dangerous. I might increase it back to 5 because they are really squishy. So like, you know, a couple of Overwatches to wipe them out. But if you're able to get them into melee and avoid Overwatch, they're one of the more deadlier units in the army. Next up, okay, Arvis Lighter. This is probably the most controversial thing I have in the army because technically it's not an assisted codex. But for aerial support, since assisted codex doesn't have any aerial units, I had to go to the Forge World codex, which this game does pull from Forge World models. I mean, if you look at the Gorgonaut and the Gargantuan Squigoth the orcs have, that's from Forge World. So there is third-party stuff in the game already. So the Arvis Lighter is essentially strictly a transport unit. I am currently using the Raven Wing as the model. The actual real-life model doesn't have the wings, but it does have like very similar chassis, and it has no weapons. Like you can upgrade it to have 1 heavy bolter, but that's it. It's mainly used just for transport. And if you look at the lore, the sisters actually did use the Arvis Lighters from the Imperial Navy to go to and from planets. You know, like, well, their barges would be up in space, and then they'll take this to travel down. So, lore-wise in the stories, they did use it, but like I said, it's very iffy if you want to be super accurate to the codex. But Forge World still counts. Next, Avenger Strike Fighter. Again, another Forge World model. This thing is an offensive beast. Now, like I said, Sisters Codex has no aerial units. This is from Forge World. And there's actually 2 offensive planes they could have picked from Forge World. The reason I picked this one is because this is the actual fighter they used in Dawn of War 1. So since they used it in Dawn of War 1, I wanted to use it here. And when I looked up the guns, their first weapon is called the Avenger Bolt Cannon, which is insanely powerful. Damage 3 is the equivalent to strength of 6 on the tabletop. No, I'm sorry, strength of 7. 7 attacks. Armor penetration 4, which I think is the equivalent to... Is it 5 or 4? Wait, is it 2? Yeah, I think it's 4. And then accuracy, well, there's not a sister flying this thing. It's an Imperial Navy officer or pilot, so accuracy is just 50%. Range of 2, but 7 shots. And then out on top of that, a twin-link glass cannon. And in the research, I do have ways to upgrade this thing, but we'll go over the research stuff later. So offensively, this thing is devastating, but armor-wise, it's like only has 16 health. That's weaker than, I think, any other flyer in the game. So you could take this thing up pretty quick, but if you don't, it will just wreck anything that it attacks. That's going to be a common thread with a lot of the sister units. A lot of them are glass cannons. Okay, we already seen the Battle Sisters. Okay, you see Blood Crushers here. It does have the gorilla. This is actually part of the story. I created Blood Crushers for their quest line. I do know that Proxy Studios added Chaos Space Marines into the game, but I don't think they have Blood Crushers, so I might switch up. Like, I need to take a look at the Chaos Space Marine army to see what demons they have, so I might switch that up for the quest, but that's a later problem. Canoness. The first hero you could research. I am currently using the Space Marine Captain model for this one. She has a Shield of Faith on top of the Rosarius, but since she had the Rosarius overrides the Shield of Faith, just like it would in the tabletop. Again, it's very squishy for a hero, only 6 hit points, but she has very good armor. So if you get good armor penetration, you could take her out fairly easy. Now her abilities, again, I kind of took these abilities. There are some acts of faith that the canonist can use. Not only that, but there's a named canonist, I forget her name. Game Workshops actually created a model based on like a lore specific canonist, and they gave her her own special rules, and I added that to this. So we get the Passion, which she uses this, buffs up everybody's accuracy around her, all friendly allies. Lead the Righteous. The Sisters Army is very focused on influence. A lot of the units need influence as a resource, and a lot of their abilities spend influence. So Lead the Righteous gets everybody a buff. When they deal damage, they gain influence. So you really need to keep your influence high for the Sisters battle. And if you saw this mod years ago, you would recognize this, the Condemner's Stake. It used to be part of a different model, the Inquisitor, which I took out of the mod. I gave her the Condemner's Stake. I might need to change the name to make it sound more specific, because I think it's supposed to be Condemner's Stake Bolter. This is only effective against Psychers. I tried to make it so you shoot it like a bolter and it adds on the special, the Psyshock ability, but it kept breaking. This is the easiest way I could do it. Essentially, if she hits a Psyker with this, it's going to ignore all defenses and just deal hit point damage. And as you level this up, it's just going to do more and more damage. So at maxed out, I think it does like 8 straight up damage. So if she hits a Space Marine Librarian, that's just 8 health gone. And then her elite is Clinical Precision. Again, area effect buff grants everybody extra armor penetration and extra damage on their attacks. So she does have a lot of armor, so you might think she's tanky, but she's really meant to be support, to support all the Battle Sisters and everybody around her. Next up, let's see. Crusaders. Another model created by Amitsuro. Hey, John Jones, welcome to the stream. Yeah, I'm a real gamer. I'm so much a gamer, we're modders now. Alright, here we go. Oh, Amitsuro, if you're confused, like I'm actually restreaming on multiple platforms right now. So there we go. Crusade, they look awesome. And I'm so glad Amitsuro created Arcoflagellants and the Crusaders, because when I was originally creating the mod, I was going back and forth from whether or not I should include the Ecclesiarchy Battle Conclave, which is Crusaders, Arcoflagellant, and Death Cult Assassins. Is it Death Cult Assassins? Wait. Hold up, I actually got the codex on my phone. I think they're called Death Cult Assassins. I know there's a lot of assassins in the game, but I get them all mixed up. Yeah, Death Cult Assassins. So I added as a research upgrade the Battle Conclave, and you just unlock these units. I haven't created the Death Cult Assassins scripts yet. I'm going to. Now these guys, they're tanky. They don't have a lot of health. In fact, they don't even have much armor. But they have storm shields. But John knows, yeah, like a few years ago I made this mod, but I'm not a modeler. So I did all the scripting and I had like everything working in the game, but the way the devs worked is every time they made an update, it broke my mod. And it was so emotionally defeating because I always had to fix it. It took me days to fix the mod. Just when I got it working again, another update, broke it. And I spent a long time looking for a modeler. And then eventually I just stopped working on the mod. Amitsuro, he contacted me, I think like maybe a year later. And he said he wanted to take over the mod and make models for it. I was like, well, I'm not doing anything. You take it. And he made some great models. It got me hyped up. I want to start working on the mod again. So now we're working together to get this faction done. He's working on others. He's not just working on Sisters. He's working on was a Gene Stealer called Adman, Ad Tech. Uh, so he's doing a lot more than sisters. I'm focusing on the sisters, so he's keeping himself very busy. So I'm definitely want to help out with this part. I was saying before, right? Crusaders. Their storm shields give them an insane invulnerability save. They're not much of a melee unit. I did have them with more models before, but I found out it was with this storm shield, it was really difficult to take them out. Like I was having them run up against like Devastators and like other heavy units, and they just could barely damage these guys. So I had to lower their numbers. I might raise them up again, depending. I need to get some competitive play going to see how effective these guys are. Like these are the guys like you run up, take all the Overwatch shots, and then you run your Arcoflagellants up and do melee damage. That's the strategy you do with these guys. Numbers might change, values might change. Like these values are going to stay the same, but cost might change. We'll figure that out with some playtesting. Let's see, next up we got Dominion. This one, a lot of people loved this when I first made them, and a lot of people complain about them. Originally, yeah, I'm using the Space Marine models in place right now, and okay, they were carrying multi-melters. There's no melter gun in the game. So the weapons look weird, but trust me, the stats are right. Originally I had them with 4, which is accurate to the tabletop. And they're your anti-vehicle units. They're also your scout units. So unlike other armies whose scout units are like in or like bike type units or skimmer units, they're foot troops. So they have the least amount of range for the scouts, and they have the least range for anti-vehicle. So how are they effective? Well, their weapons are assault weapons, so they can move and shoot without taking a accuracy penalty. And I was kind of worried that they'll just get wiped out with Overwatch. But when I was playtesting this, like when I had people help me out, they would destroy anything they came across. People were actually using this as hero killers. Like my idea was like, okay, they're going to go in and take out vehicles. That's what they're meant for. No, people were using them to take out Space Marine captains. 2 squads of Dominions could kill almost any hero in the game. The problem was just trying to get the Dominions up to them and still live. So that's why I lowered the number down to 3. Hopefully that doesn't make them too squishy, because it won't take much to wipe them out. But if they could get up to anything without losing any numbers, they could still do a heavy amount of damage. Again, more playtesting is needed. Next up, the Exorcist. This one I'm very excited about. This model is nuts. It's like I actually tried really hard getting an actual Exorcist model in real life. They're so expensive. Sisters of Battle models in general are really expensive. And there is one problem I do have this, Amistro, if you're paying attention. Now, originally, you had the weapon, the Exorcist cannon, or Exorcist missile launcher, I believe it's called. Yeah, Exorcist missile launcher. You were having the Demolisher cannon animation, which uses a vector. And I understand. After I changed it, I understand why you did it. Because it's supposed to be missiles coming out of these organs, which is why I love it on the tabletop. And I realized there was a problem after I used it. I'm gonna show the stream the code for the Exorcist real quick. Let's see. No. Okay, I don't have it. Here we go. Now, and it took me a while to realize why this was happening. The scale is pretty, like normally the scale is just 1. He has it at 35. I do have a little bit of experience with modeling, and I think I know why this happened and why he had to scale it up to get it to the way it was. The problem with this is with vector weapons like the bolt guns, they're just lines, drawn. They're not models, so they don't get scaled up. The missiles from the Exorcist missile launcher did get scaled up, and by 35 times. So when I use it, this is what happens. A gigantic missile just kind of like flies up and covers the screen. I might go back to the vector. I really want a missile to be flying out of there. But unless we model a missile that's like 35 times smaller and then scale it up with this, like I don't, well, it doesn't need to be a modeling problem if I could just make it a vector. But it's just not going to look as nice as a vector. But that's a later problem. Aside from that, like on the tabletop, the Exodus missile launcher is supposed to randomly pick how many times it shoots, but we can't do that in this game. So instead of having it randomly 1 through 6, I made it 3. There is an upgrade in the research to make it 4. And this is the beefiest tank the systems have. Next up, let's see. What's a debug? I could just like pick only. Okay, here we go. Honored Imperium. Technically not a unit. You know what? I'll go to the Honored Imperium later. Yes, that's a building you got to build. Next up, I'm going to pick the Hospitaller. I can never say the same word. Hospitaller. Essentially, they're the medics of the sisters. They're the equivalent to apothecaries from the Space Marines, and they act identical, except they're squishier. So, not much to say there. Just squishy apothecaries. Emulator. Now this, I love the emulator. We don't have a model for this yet. I'm using the Razorback model for the emulator. On the tabletop, it's one of my favorite vehicles. It is a transport. Has a cargo of 2 in this game. Starts off with a Stormbolter, but it has the emulator. Technically, on the tabletop, you could choose what kind of weapons you put on top of here. Either Twin-Link Heavy Bolter, Twin-Link Multi-Melta, or the emulator, which is a Twin-Link Heavy Flamer. It's fire. You gotta go fire with the Sisters of Battle. And then you could do stuff like this. That's just beautiful. And in Mistro, like I don't know like how you go about with your modeling. Like I don't know if you use assets from the game or if you just start from scratch. But at least with the tabletop, the models itself, the emulator is designed almost exactly off of the Razorback. So I don't know if you'll be able to like take this model and just like add the extra sister iconography and then heavy flamers up top, or if you're just going to start from scratch. That's up to you. I'm not going to tell you how to do your job because I know I don't know how to do it. Let's see what else we have. Imperial Bunker. All right. You know, I'm just going to do this as an upgrade. Imperial Bunker. Where is it? There we go. Alright, so the Sisters army has no anti-air units at all in the game. But every army in the game gets their own structure. Like the Space Marines took the Fortress of Redemption, Imperial Guard took the Bastion. So I gave the Sisters the Imperial Bunker. They don't have a building unit to build it, so I made it so you build it a certain distance away from their headquarters. So this is more of a defensive kind of unit. So you see, after you research it, you can build it from their main base. But there's a limit. Only up to 4 to 5 squares away. So you can't build it within the city because eventually you can upgrade it so you could expand the city out to a range of 3. So you're going to build it like just on the outskirts of their city. Oh wait, I need to wait till next turn before. You know what? Wait till next turn. Because I forgot to just build this thing, so it needs action. Okay, no, I'm not going to do the quest. We'll go over that later. There we go. Currently, I'm using a very squished, stretched out model of this building, but the stats are different. I do need to remove that rally point though. It starts off with an Icarus las cannon. Unfortunately, it's being controlled automated, so its accuracy is really low. But the Icarus las cannon on the tabletop has an insane range. So in this game, it gets a range of 5. That might get reduced to a 4, depending. Very high damage of 8, but only has 1 attack, armor penetration 6, skyfire. So this thing is only really good against aerial units, like singular aerial units. Like I could shoot it at these guys, but look, it's only going to do like 0.5 damage. There is a research upgrade you get on there. In fact, let me get the upgrade. The quad gun. These are both things you could get for the Imperial bunker, by the way. Like, I'm not making this stuff up. This is actually part of the, I get the data sheet on my Kindle. The Stronghold data sheet is what it's called. So this is actually much more effective. It's not as high damage, but he has 4 shots and it's twin linked. So with both these together, it could do a decent amount of damage to ground units, but it now is devastating against aerial units. Unfortunately, it's mainly defensive, so if you want to bring this out like into the middle of the map, you're going to need to craft more missionaries and make more bases. The sisters, unlike the Space Marines, can have multiple bases. I just like the limit to how big the base can be is much smaller compared to any other army though. Alright, next unit. Okay. This is brand new. I made this as a late tier unit. Again, not part of the Sisters Codex, but part of the flavor. Like, he's part of the Inquisitor or Inquisition data sheet. The Sisters can have him as an ally join the army. And since the Sisters don't have any heavy units late research or late game, I decided to bring in Inquisitor Karamazov. Right now I'm using the Dreadnought, and again, the icon's not showing up right. It's accurate to use the Dreadnought for this model because Inquisitor Karamazov actually sits on a throne that's crafted into a Dreadnought chassis. So he has a giant Dreadnought throne, like mobile throne, that walks around. He has a multi-melta on the side that he has somebody else shoot for him while he's wielding a power sword. So we do have the multi-melta. And we have the power sword, even though we see a Dreadnought fist. I can't change the model. I can't give the Dreadnought a power sword, unfortunately. He's unique. You only get one of these guys. Okay, I forgot to add. Okay, this right here. I don't know why it's showing up question mark because I did add the fluff for this. It's just a trait to make sure you can't board any vehicles because he's too big to board a vehicle. And I gave him like the stats of a maxed out level 10 hero with the comparative stats you have to the datasheet. So we have 10 armor with the hero vulnerability, 24 health. Not much. Like when you compare this to the Baneblade, that's not great. But this is what he has. He has like 3 Imperial bombardments because that's what Inquisitors get. The very last one, which is what I love, is called Burner of Worlds. This one you have to be careful with. Yes, just like his character in the game. The way on the tabletop works is, when you use an Imperial bombardment, you call it down on the target, and you gotta roll scatter dice. So it might scatter, so you might not hit where you're trying to call down the gigantic laser of death. But Karamov, it's like, you know what, I'm not going to target the enemy, I'm going to target an ally. So if you have a, like, you know, you have your Arcoflagellants in melee combat with the enemy, he targets his own allies and it doesn't scatter. So it's more accurate. Hey, they're dying for the Emperor, so it's okay. So I had to give this thing some kind of friendly fire. So you see these guys, and they're right next to the emulator. Check it out. It's only going to, the graphic is only going to show it hidden, these cultists. But look at the emulator. The emulator took damage. So you hit the target, and it hits in a 1 tile radius. So you're hitting everything around here, regardless of their enemy or ally. So that big bombardment just hits everything there. It is a barrage. It's only damage 3, 2 attacks, armor penetration 2, 10 accuracy, large blast, barrage, ordnance. So it's great against big mobs of enemies. But you gotta be careful with friendly fire. Next we have the Lance Strike. It only hits the 1 tile. This is meant for anti-armor. Even though it does have barrage and blast, this pierces, like this is what you use on buildings and structures to destroy them. And finally, the Psy-Out Bomb. Is it Psy-Out Bomb? It should be Psy-Shock? I might have spelled that wrong. I think it should be Psych-Out Bomb. Which, not much damage. 3, 1 attack, 2 armor, penetration, barrage, large blast, ordnance. But here, I needed to create this one trait. Psy-Shock. This is supposed to do super damage against Psychers. Anything with the Psyker trait takes extra damage. How much extra damage? Well, let's look at the Canoness. Where's the Canoness? I forgot where I put her. Here she goes. Well, the same kind of damage the Combator Stake does. Except, actually no, I think I increased it. I think it's 6 damage. 6 damage that ignores all defenses. So not only do they take the damage from the barrage, Psychers take an additional straight unblockable damage. So this could wipe out like swarms of Psychers very easily. Because Karmatov, he's a witch hunter. I'm debating giving him grenades because technically he's supposed to have grenades too, including Psych Out grenades, which does the same effect as this bomb, except it's not falling from the sky. Oh, and serval skulls. This was a little extra treat Inquisitors could get. The way it works in this game is you can summon a serval skull. Let's plop them over here. Okay, well, that's right, let's skip a turn. So we can actually use this. Okay, I'm using the Necron Scarabs. God damn it. Okay, they got shot down. Well, serval skulls, they only have 1 health. They're meant for scouting, and they illuminate enemies around them. It's very similar to what they kind of did in the tabletop. You could place them out like anywhere on the board, and they're supposed to take away cover defenses, I think, against enemies. But then once an enemy gets up anywhere near it, they're gone. So that's Karmatov. Not much health compared to the Baneblade, but he has 3 different orbital strikes. They're on 5 cooldowns, so 3 turns in a row you could call down hell from the sky and burn the world. Next up, let's see who is next. Gotta scroll so much. Minestrone Priest. Okay, currently using the Imperial Guard Psyker unit for the model. But they chainsword, last pistols, basic equipment for the priest. They do have a Rosarius, so they have a pretty good defense, actually. Even though their armor is only 4, they got the Rosarius. And they got the Zealot trait. So they're pretty decent at melee. And I gave them a skill called Warhymns. I know it's kind of called something different in tabletop. But this essentially increases their number of melee attacks. And they do this with like everybody around them. So hook them up with some Arcoflagellants. That's like right next to them. Or Sister Repenta, which we haven't gotten to yet. And it makes them extra deadly. Not enough resources. Okay, wait. Let's add resources here. Okay. They're also the unit you use to build more cities. And this is an extra structure they could build. The Honored Imperium. Another thing from the Stronghold datasheet. Right now I'm currently using the Fortress of Redemption model for it. But this is supposed to be the big statue that has the rubble around it. And its abilities is, well, it has its own Shield of Faith. Like all allies around it, the way the datasheet works was any Imperial unit around it got a cover save, and gain stubborn. So that's exactly what this does. Except I made it so like this allies. Allies around it get the cover save, which is the range damage reduction, and stubborn. Won't take much to destroy it though. Low, it's decent armor, not much hit points for a structure. So these priests could like plop these around to try to give a little bit more defense to the squishy sister units. Order, okay, I actually got rid of this guy. He's still technically in the code because I don't know if I'm going to do something with that code again. So I'm just holding on to it. Penitent engines. Oh, these things are beasts in the battlefield. I am using the Orc Killer Can model, which is actually kind of fitting. Now, it's weaker, like defense-wise, it's weaker than a Dreadnought. It has less armor than a Dreadnought, less health than a Dreadnought. But it does have 2 heavy flamers. And it's supposed to say 2 penitent Sauls, but I had to put it to 1 the way the game works. If I put 2, it would have just doubled their attacks, and it would have been ridiculous. Like I did in the code, I put them with the right number of attacks. Although you might notice it says 6, even though they're supposed to have 4. Well, don't forget, they get the Rage ability. Rage increases the number of attacks they get, which is why they get 6. They also got Shield of Faith, and they're open top, which just makes them even more fragile. So, if you compare this to a Dreadnought, Dreadnought gets, like, what, 1-2 attacks in melee? In fact, let me spawn in a Dreadnought. Enemy Dreadnought. Okay. Yeah, enemy Dreadnought has so much more health and armor. Let's see. Oh, they get 3 attacks. Okay. Penitent just get twice as many attacks with a weapon that's just as strong. And you can upgrade them. When you get to their special formations coming to the end, you can increase that attack to, I think, 9? $24.5 damage. Dreadnought will do 14.4 damage to her. But, yeah, just like the tabletop, they're weak. Like, on the tabletop, when you had swarms of Penitent engines, that was like one of the scariest things and not scary thing simultaneously for the opponent. Because they're really easy to take out, but if there's a few of them make it into their targets, it's like they would completely shred whatever they touch. So yeah, glass cannon all the way. Okay, Penitent engines. What's next after the Penitent engines? Repenta. Pretty much the foot soldier version of the Penitent engines. I am using the Assault Squad models. There are 6 of them because, well, look at this. They get 0 armor. And they have 12 health. They do have a Shield of Faith, which is their only means of, defense. And eventually they could be upgraded to have Feel No Pain. But, come on, the Overwatch from an Imperial Guard unit could wreck them. But if they're able to get into melee combat of anybody, they get their Eviscerators. 3 damage, 3 attacks each, times 6, so that's 18 attacks. Armor penetration 8. And they got Armor Bane. Okay, let's get rid of this Dreadnought. Let's get a brand new Dreadnought out here. There we go. 28.4 damage. That's 4 more points of damage than the Penitent engine, but that's with a full squad of Repenta. Wait, why did I have 13? Okay, for some reason they went up. Oh, that's because I destroyed the Dreadnought. Okay. Now, what a great strategy would be. And this is something that, like, I always try to keep a priest near. I don't know if a priest could join the Repentance squad. I think they could. Now keep in mind, in this list, I have them listed as a... Oh wait, the name did change, Minnesota Priest. Originally they were missionaries. Okay. You know, let's use war hymns. Oh, I see a problem here. I need to go back to the code. War hymns did not activate on... Oh wait, no, duh. I had him as the enemy. Okay, nope. Get out of here. Alright, now you're allies. There we go. 4.5 attacks times 6. Yeah, that'll completely destroy the Dreadnought. Yeah, now, keep in mind, you just gotta sneeze on these ladies and they're dead, so... You need somebody to soak up all that Overwatch damage first. Okay, Repenta, now we got the Retributors. This is the heavy weapons unit. Now, when I was coding or scripting for the Retributors, they have 3 options for weapons. Multi-meltas, heavy bolters, heavy flamers. Now, if I was going to keep the trend of what all the other armies at the time were doing, which is all the base armies, they should have gotten the multi-meltas. Unfortunately, with the way they work in this game, they would have had a range of 2, heavy, and their special ability will only work at a range of 1. When you compare that to the Devastators for the Space Marines of Last Cannons have a range of 3, the Orcs have a range of 2 but Assault, and the Necrons have a range of 2 but having Gauls added to their weapons. It made the Retributors with multi-meltas the weakest. Like so inferior to every other heavy unit. So that's why I made the Dominion squad the anti-vehicles and gave them heavy bolters, making them anti-infantry. So they will shred any infantry unit. And then you can upgrade them so they could get Rendon on their abilities. Since this don't have any heavy units, I decided to give them their apocalyptic formations from their codex, which for Retributors, let's see, Bulletstorm, which when you put Retributors next to each other, it increases the number of attacks they get and the damage they do. So having a whole bunch of Retributors beside each other would just do an insane amount of damage. Like, it doesn't stack up. It's like, all you need is 1. Having 12 next to each other isn't going to make it more. It's just, you want to get the buff ones. Seraphim. Now this one, Amistro, I'm glad you changed their weapon. By the way, models, again, fantastic. Originally I had him with hand flamers. And I had him like, what, squads of 2. Again, they would wreck, you know, most infantry units that have hand flamers, but it didn't really work with this game. And I was planning on making them with the bolt pistols, but you know, then I quit. I never get about it. Thank you for giving them bolt pistols. Now, here it's going to look kind of strange. It shows it has 2 bolt pistol icons because they need to be melee units. But a bolt pistol is not a melee weapon. Yes, they took away the pistol trait from the game. They originally had a pistol trait in the game, like when it first released, but they got rid of it. So you have your range bolt pistols, which are twin linked because they're dual wielding pistols. So they each have it acts like as a twin link bolt pistol. Second one is a melee bolt pistol, which acts, you know, that's like a basic melee weapon. So wait, are these enemies? Yeah, can we fly over? So let's fly on over. And they're going to shoot and smash them. just like the way it does in the tabletop. Absolutely devastating. I did give him one extra sister instead of the 5 like the Assault Marines got from Space Marines. Mainly because, well, look at the health. Even a 6, they have less health than the Assault Marines. So they're stronger offensively. But defensively, even though they got the Shield of Faith, you know, they can still get taken out much more easily than other jump units. Next up we have, okay, that's Serval Skull, that's with the Karmatov or Karmarbal, whatever. Okay. Amitro, I'm sorry, I apologize in advance. Here's a Sororitas Rhino. I think I did something wrong importing it. The shading is a bit off. The model, we can see the structure is there. But I did something weird with the textures. I couldn't get it to work right, so... yeah, it's kind of stretched out. But I do got it working. I got it with its repair feature. It has a Shield of Faith, which is the only reason it makes it like slightly better than the Space Marine Rhino. And it has its cargo slot. It works just like the Space Marine Rhino, except that it gets the Shield of Faith. It starts off with 1 Stormbolter. You can upgrade it to get a 2nd Stormbolter. It sounds like a waste of an upgrade, but the way I have to upgrade it, it's called defensive weapons. Let's see if I can find it. Where is defensive weapons? I don't have it that high, do I? No, it's not that high. Extra vehicle, ecclesiarchy, close combat, extra armor, searchlight, orbital, gold wings. For some reason I am not finding... oh, here we go. It's tier 2. Defensive vehicle weapons. This adds an extra weapon to every single sister's vehicle there is. Minus the Repenta, that doesn't get a defensive weapon. So this extra defensive weapon gives it an extra Stormbolter. Same with the Emulator, gets an extra Stormbolter. This gets a heavy stubber. The Arvis gets the heavy bolter. So it's like a very small upgrade. It's research 2, but it gives it just that much more offensibility. Soul Grinder, again, that's like part of the story quest, so let's ignore that. We're almost at the end. Living Saint, this is the last model. And probably my favorite by far. I don't know how many times I said that. Let's look for a good spot. Here we go. The Living Saint. Celestine. Yeah, the way the lighting is here, like, yeah. Can we move her so you see her face? Alright, that's probably the best we're going to get. But yeah. I love the fact that you gave her the wings instead of the cape. Because, like, I have a Celestine model. I just tossed the cape to the side and I used the wings. Well, I had to, like, rip the rings off of a HeroClick model I had way back in the day. And then, you know, glue it on there. But yeah. So we have Celestine. She's a hero, the tier 3 hero. So you get to level her up. She has a Shield of Faith, which is kind of overridden by her armor. She has a, where is he? Armor of St. Catherine, which gives her the 50% invulnerability save. That kind of overrides Shield of Faith. Hidden Run, Hero, Fearless. And her abilities, we got Beacon of Faith. So this is a passive ability. All allies around her get reduced morale loss. Then we got Heal in Tears, which is an area effect heal. This is I think it's 8th edition. I stole this ability from 8th edition for this. In 8th edition, it's really annoying because she could quite literally bring a model back to life with full wounds or Heal in Tears. In this game, I made it area effect. Everybody around her, except herself, but everybody around her gets, you know, regen health. It's like I think max is 3 hit points. So anything that's not a vehicle gets more health. So you still have a purpose for the Hospitalitors because they heal a lot more. Yeah, they heal 6. But she gets the area effect. Next is Saintly Blessing. This was actually different. This one kind of annoys me. Originally, I had Saintly Blessing work as an act of faith. I haven't gotten into Acts of Faith yet, but every sister unit gets a special ability called an Act of Faith. On a tabletop, you're going to use each unit one Act of Faith for the game. There were some units with abilities that granted you an extra Act of Faith. The way I have it working in this game is when the sisters uses an Act of Faith. In fact, let me go ahead and get one. Let's see. The very first one would be Lighted Emperor. Upgrade. Lighted Emperor. Okay. Here we go. Battle Sisters. They have their Act of Faith. Lighted Emperor. It gives them the preferred enemy trait, which grants them one extra point to their accuracy. But in this game, it costs them 15 influence. Like I said, influence is a big thing for the sisters here. Every time a unit uses an Act of Faith, they spend influence. This one's pretty cheap. I got some that are more expensive. The way I tried to script it was she would do Saintly Blessing onto a unit, which will make their Act of Faith free, so they wouldn't spend an Act of Faith. So I tried to give them the trait, the special trait, Saintly Blessing, and if they had it, Act of Faith would be free. I couldn't get it to work. Like, back when I was working on it years ago, I spent weeks trying to get it to work. I couldn't. Back this past week, I tried again. Couldn't get it to work. So I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to change it. She's not going to have that. So now Saintly Blessing, what it does is, she radiates with so much light that her and all her allies around her get a special buff that increases range damage reduction. So, I mean, it's kind of corny, but a lot of heroes got abilities that aren't even in the tabletop game, so that's what I got over. If you guys have like suggestions that I could give her, like beside that, I think that kind of works lore wise, this like the Holy Light shining off her. But if you know any coding that could get me to get rid of that point cost for influence, I'd much rather have that. Okay. Finally, Miraculous Intervention. When she dies, by the way, she is probably the second or third tankiest unit in this game. At least in the base game. I haven't checked out the DLC guys yet. When she dies, she just comes back to life, full health. Iron Will, just like the one Imperial Guard hero, I forget his name. And this has like a... Okay, I gave it a 15 turn cooldown as opposed to the 10 turn cooldown because when I tried to kill her to test his ability, it took me forever. Well, she has 10 armor. The hero damage reduction and the 50% invulnerability save from her armor of St. Catherine. It takes forever to kill her. This, I don't know why this is appearing here. This unlocks with a research upgrade, Angelic Host, which is one of the apocalyptic formations. So, I believe that's all the units. Yeah, that's all the sister units. But there's another unit I'm going to make. Okay, I already mentioned I was going to make or script the Death Cult Assassins. So, aside from that, I was looking through the code to see what the other armies got with all the DLCs and stuff. And I noticed that the Space Marines got Aquila Macro Cannon. Yeah, let me bring that up. I know what this does on the tabletop, and what this does on the tabletop is disgusting. That's a descaled weapon. Okay. This is nuts. I was like, okay, the Space Marines get this? I was like, okay, well, let me look through the data sheet and see what I could, the Stronghold data sheet, see what I could give to sisters. And I think I found something even more disgusting. Yeah, let me go through the Stronghold data sheet I have on my Kindle here. It is called the Vortex Missile Aquila Stronghold. Now, Ironically, it uses the same model as this, except instead of that giant cannon, it has a missile silo. Now on the tabletop, you only get, I think, 7 missile shots before it's gone, but that's pretty much 1 shot per turn in the game. The game's over, so in this game, you should just get infinite shots. In this game, the equivalent damage would be damage 12, just like this, a large blast template. This one has a apocalyptic mega blast. What is it? Should it even have that? Wait, let me look at that weapon real quick. Because I don't think the macro cannon gets it. No, wait, nope, it does. It does get the apocalyptic mega blast. Never mind. Which, if you never played a tabletop, here, let me change my scene so you could better see this. Alright. In the game, we used to have templates. They got rid of the templates in 8th edition. A blast template was like maybe like that big. A large blast is like maybe about that big. A massive blast, about that big. A apocalyptic blast, we're getting like this big. A apocalyptic massive blast, we're talking like this big. This will cover like a quarter of the table. So that's what that thing did. Okay, so maybe the vortex missiles aren't as nasty. Vortex missiles are going to be damage 12, 1 attack. Large blast, ordnance. Here's the kicker. It gets the vortex ability. Vortex, as far as I know, is not a thing in this game, so I'm going to have to code that. The way it worked on the tabletop is when you struck a target with the missile, or when the missile hit, you could have missed your target. It leaves behind a large blast template that is considered impassable terrain. But if it's on top of anything, it takes an automatic D hit, which in this game would be a strength 12 hit. Strength 12 ignores all armor hit. And on each turn, you would roll scatter, and the thing would move. And anything it touched would take that hit. If you roll doubles, like the same number twice, then it'll disappear. So it could potentially just keep roaming the table throughout the entire match. And you could have 7 of these roaming around. In this game, the only way I could think I could make this work is I have the missile hit. And I could make a terrain feature with a durability, a duration of like 1 or 2. I might play it on the duration. And give it an area effect status. Maybe I won't give it an area effect status. I'm not sure yet. But anything on that tile, each turn takes 12, a straight up 12 point, what was it, armor penetration 10 hit for like 2 turns. So if you drop this missile on a building, that building's going bye-bye. I don't know if that's overpowered, because you could just take out enemy headquarters real easily with this. But this is going to be research tier 10. So this is going to need to take some... And oh yeah, the range is infinite, by the way. If you could see a spot on the map, you could hit it. It has infinite range. So playtesting is going to be needed. But I'm going to make that. I'm going to code that. I'm going to use this model for now. I'm going to see if I could just get rid of this. I don't know if I could replace it with a missile silo. If I could replace it with a missile silo from the Fortress of Redemption, I think that could work. Then we wouldn't even need to make a new model for this. That model should just work. So yeah, I'm going to play around at that. So, oops. Next units I'm going to need to make are Death Cult Assassins. And I'm trying to get the name here. And Aquila Vortex Missile Strongpoint. I can't think of any more units I could add to the Sisters to beef them out, because their main weakness right now is just that they don't have any super heavy units. Now, you know what, let me go and unlock all their upgrades. Okay, Aside from the basic, armor up, bolt pistol up kind of upgrades, I do have them with operational tactics. They do have the orbital scan, same as the Space Marines. And these, I need a... I got a whole bunch of artists on my own Discord. I might hire them to draw me up some more icons. So this one, and this is army-wide. When I click on this, every single person in the army gets this for set duration. This one says 4 turns. Executioner of Heretics. Everybody in the army, their weapon attacks gain fear. Pure of Will. Everybody in the army, they get extra Witchfire damage protection. So psychic attacks deal less damage. Going to be very situational, but I think against the Tyranids might be super helpful. Endless Crusade, everybody gets fleet and move through cover for when you really need to book it. Indomitable Belief. By the way, just so you know, a lot of these are warlord traits from the Sisters Codex. Indomitable Belief, everybody gets an additional invulnerability damage reduction. I might need to change the way to work because I don't think... I recently found out that invulnerability saves don't stack. So I need to change the way that specifically works. So everybody does get a boost to their invulnerability save. And Purge the Arc Heretic. They get Chaos Bane. This is only going to be effective against demons, which at the time was only useful in the quest line I made for the Sisters. Because in their quest line, I had them getting attacked by demons and psychers. But now that the Chaos Space Marine army is a thing, there's other demons now. So Chaos Bane grants, the Demon Bane thing, which essentially doubles their damage against demons and grants an extra 2 points armor penetration. All of these cause influence, by the way. On top of that, like I said, they get their apocalyptic formations. For the Sisters, wait, I don't think... No, the Battle Sisters didn't get a formation. The Retributors did. Now, I did mention that Bulletstorm greatly increased the damage potential of a Retributor squad when they stand next to each other. So with all their upgrades, they're doing 2 damage, 3 attacks, times 4. 2 armor penetration. Let's get another Retributor with them. Am I the only one that has to say the alphabet in their head when they're looking at stuff alphabetically? Okay. I'm gonna put them over here. Okay, so although the buff is there, it's not changing any of the damage, right? And currently, let's see, against these guys, 18.9 damage. Against the Web Brigade, 12 damage. Move these ladies beside them. 21 damage against them. There's probably even more because that's just their max health. 18 damage against them. So their weapon's now doing 3 damage, 3 shots each. And with the other upgrades in the research tree, they get Blessed Ammunition, which reduces how much range damage reduction takes away from their damage. So it's easier to hit enemies and trees. And the Goldwing Diaz pattern bolt weapons. Goldwing Diaz is like the Sisters' signature model of bolt gun. This just increases their accuracy. And their Act of Faith, Divine Guidance, gives their weapons Rendon. So let's just go ahead and activate that. Now they're doing 21.6 damage against this thing. So yeah, Retributors beside each other right now with Bulletstorm. It's pretty dangerous. Now the Seraphim. Let me bring a new Seraphim because their actions already used up. This one is kind of weird the way it works. Like, it's not ideal, but I think it's fine. Their apocalyptic formation, it's called, what was it called? I know it gets some Deep Strike, but the name was, Angelico Angelic Host. So it gives them Deep Strike, and it gives them, I think, let's see, give them another ability. You have Fearless, bonus damage. They're dealing 20% more damage, and they could pretty much Deep Strike anywhere. And this is on a cooldown of 5 turns. So like, the way it worked on the tabletop is if you have Angelic Host, is like on any turn when they're in reserve, they just Deep Strike. You don't need a roll, they just go where you want on any turn. Problem is, like right now, like they could technically move. And then Deep Strike, which I'm using the teleportation animation right now. Yes, there's no animation for them to just fly up in the air and then drop down somewhere else. Not that I could find. But when you do this, you do use up their actions. So they can't attack right away. So don't Deep Strike them right next to an enemy. Yes, then next turn they're going to get wrecked. And their special act of faith is called Emperor's Deliverance. Which I just want to point out, Proxy Studios. I did notice that when this game first came out, you didn't have the Shred trait. I created the Shred trait and added it in this mod. You know, it grants extra damage. I noticed when I started playing recently, when Amidstro brought me back to the game, Shred is now a thing in your game. Coincidence? I'm just saying, it works the same way it was in my mod. You're welcome. Same thing for Ren, by the way. They didn't have Rendon. I made Rendon. But, hey, I'm not salty about it. Maybe a little. But yeah. So, offensively, this just makes him much, much more dangerous in melee. And there was one more. So there was the Devastators. Right. The last Apocalyptic Formation, which is, I'm not sure how useful it's going to be. Let's see. So we got Angelic Host, Bulletstorm, Repentant Host. Wait, do I may not have done it. Wait a minute. Oh, we got a crash. And I think I know why. Okay. I just remembered. Okay, so. Yes, it's this closed program. Okay, there's something I gotta fix. Go to log files. So what exactly, because I'm pretty sure I know what failed. Unit type, okay. So the Bulletstorm trait, which was for the Retributors to give them the extra damage, it actually supposed to also unlock a special trait for the emulators. When you have two emulators next to each other, they're supposed to gain the Flamestorm template on their flamers, which increases their damage and the number of units they hit. Clearly, something about that is broken. Let's see. I might need to actually go to the weapon list. Let's see here. Weapons. Emulate Flamer. Yeah. Flamestorm template. Okay. I think I know why this broke. It took me a while to get it to work for the Retributors. I'm just trying to get it to activate when they're next to each other and give the right stats, because at one point, like, it just wasn't activating when they're next to each other, or it would always be on, or only some of the stats would work. And I focused purely on the Retributors, and I got it to work. I completely forgot to make sure it worked for the emulator tanks. But, wait, did Proxy add Flamestorm template while I was gone? No, they don't have Flamestorm template. Wait, but I thought I saw like a different type of template. Can I do control find on this? No, that's not what I wanted. Now just, you know, just go back. Just go back. Okay. Let's see, was there a new template? But anyway, so that's the Sisters army right now. There's still some work. I still have a couple more units to make. Mistro, he's a modern beast. Like right now, he's modding Skyrim right now. So he's modding the Sisters. He's modding, like I forget the other army he's working on, the AdMech, and he's modding for Skyrim. So, and I don't know what else he's modding. So the guy's definitely keeping himself busy. I'm gonna try to get the Sisters down packed to make sure that, well, one, they stop crashing. Two, I need to get some balance testing done. I'm gonna get some of my crew members together, hopefully this Thursday, and I know throughout the week I'm gonna try to get some gameplay going to see what's balanced, adjust how much each unit costs, adjust the number of models in a unit, basic stuff, and I also need to rewrite the story. The story I think is kind of works, but now that there's actual demon models in the game, I need to see what they have and start swapping things out. Because I did have the story working. I was actually able to originally play through my entire quest line and get to the end and complete the story. So I knew that was working. I don't think that's broken now, but we'll have to see. So Mistro, I hope you like what you saw. If you have any questions, any suggestions, any comments, I'm always open to any constructive criticism. If there's anything anybody hates, definitely let me know. We'll talk about it, and hopefully we can get more eyes on this. I know I used to talk a lot with the proxy devs way back in the day before I kind of like just disappeared on them. So hopefully I can get their eyes on this again, and we'll see how it goes. Tomorrow, maybe I'll show this off. Maybe I'll just play something else on the stream. We'll see. It depends on how much work I get done on this. But for now, I'm going to get going. Thank you, everybody that showed up. Thank you, Mistro, for checking it out. Again, you have me on Discord, so just message me. Anybody who's watching on the proxy server, you know, let me know what you think. I definitely need some advice and balance checks, because I don't want anything being overpowered or underpowered. So till then, you guys take it easy. Later.